Peace, we're live. Um, get that cleared up. Um, So today I am going to be sharing a message. Um, First of all, I would like to welcome in our team, creating a safe space for us to be able to receive at the highest vibrational level. I connect to my higher self in light and love, allowing them to see within me everything that is desired and required to be heard at this time. I thank you to my benevolent ancestors who are here with me, speaking through me, for me, aiding me at my highest vibrational goods. And I thank you all for being able to be open to receive whatever realignment, guidance, coaching, aid that I could provide. The numbers are numbering. Um, I only have a little bit of time. Oh, I forgot my earrings. Y'all, I'm over here. This is what happens. You be trying to do too much at once. Y'all give me a second. Excuse me. The boobs is boobing. Can't really do nothing about that. Cover them up. Why would you do such a thing? All right. Stay focused. Y'all forgive me. I'm just being myself. Um, when there's something that you want to say, but it's like it's so loaded that you don't really know how to say it. So you just, I'm just gonna say it. But I don't want to do that because I know that there's a layer, there's a level that this message could be received at. And I desire it to be at the highest vibrational level. Um, at this time, there's a lot of like things that we could process at higher levels and higher perspectives. And in requesting something of my team today, they requested something of me. So I'm basically here to do my part and giving that back to them, but also showing up. Um, when we have certain layers of perspectives, you never know how beneficial it could be to someone else. So it's best if you feel called to share. Um, that's why I put 144 is because you may be seeing it a lot. Um, there's some work that you got to do for this new beginning that you're actually walking into. And the biggest thing that you have to remind yourself is that you picked a side. When we're picking and we're choosing what we desire to be in our life, what we desire to express in our light, in our energetic field, what we're mirroring to people, what we are being able to sit with and observe within ourselves, we have such an opportunity for us to be able to actually elevate so many layers and levels of our existence all at once. And one of the things that I wanted to address today, this channel is for healing, healing of all different rates. I have a lot of modalities, a lot of tools that I use for healing. I'm not a fixed energy. I'm very mutable. Okay. There's so much mutable energy in my charts. Um, So for me, it's like I use so many different methods of being able to address and advance in levels of healing and just overall revealment of certain things. So I said all of that good stuff to say. I wanted to talk about trauma today. And there's many different versions of trauma today, but I wanted to specifically talk about layers of trauma that include the family, the physical family. So I recognize that in the process of me healing, there's been opportunities where I've had chances to be able to receive my understanding with my spirit team. So if you don't know what this means, I very well provide a lot of the guidance on what I'm talking about and how I'm speaking, the language in which I'm using, and where I'm coming from, my perspective. I literally did myself a favor and I created what I continue consider like, a guide and like a companion, a spiritual companion, so to speak, is what I feel my book is. And it's called Shifting from the Play to the Player. Shameless plug. It's available on Amazon, and I also direct ship them as well. But in the book, I basically speak on layers of how you could basically come to levels of understanding of one, that you're more than this physical existence, physical expression that you've been currently having. And two, there are things and layers and levels of access that are available to you once you allow yourself to see you for all that you are instead of being, in a space where you're being dictated for and dictated over. Um, what I've learned with that, like I said, is that there are steps that you could take that are best suited to help aid and guide you. Be mindful. I'm receiving information, so I may look off or close my eyes, but I'm still here, y'all. But I don't want to make this too long. I just want to share. I did not intend on coming on live today, but it's like sometimes the messages is so beneficial to you that it's like, I know that somebody could benefit from this. So I just wanted to share, especially here on the Star Blooms. Once again, this is Star, by the way. But yeah, so one of the first things that I talk about, and you'll hear me talk about it often, is meditation. And the reason why meditation and not just prayer, not just rituals, not just using tools, not just trying to do, spell work and stuff like that. And don't get afraid of all of this stuff. A lot of us, especially, American individuals who are still remembering, their history, a lot of us have a lot of hoodoo roots. We have a lot of these roots embedded in us. They are embedded in us in the form of grandma's habits and her way of doing things. We call them oh my gosh, it says so much I can't even think of it. It's a way that we used to say it back in the day. They My family's hilarious, okay, y'all. So they would say superstitions, not superstitions. But yeah, so it's like a lot of different ways that it shows up for us, right? And in that, um we just don't know what we don't know. So, um, okay, that's that part. But I make it clear that meditating is very important because you understand once you realize that you are being played, that you need to shift your perspective and you need to shift your layers of consciousness and your intention and attention to different rates of things that you're actually desiring for yourself. Um, I believe it's necessary because at this rate, what's going on in the world, to be blind and to be moving and deciding and choosing and not having insight that affects you at the highest level is it makes things tough because you're being affected by this space. You're being affected by the choices that you make. You're being affected by a whole destiny and, sometimes a soul mission, that you may not even be aware that you're on until you tap into these layers of who it is that you are intrinsically, internally, right? So meditation is important because it takes you from layers of doing things physical and it allows you to subdue the physical to access the truth of who you really are. And in that, you get to connect to your soul. Um, in connecting with your soul, there are layers to you that you get to understand that you would not have had the opportunity to understand had you not meditated. It's very simple. And it's my understanding that we are weaving in and out of the physical into the spiritual, gathering and restoring, receiving and giving, learning and releasing, healing and, you know, freeing ourselves, becoming sovereign, and just learning to operate and move out of survival into a thriving state of being that allows us to really, really start to maximize, and alchemize in this space that we find ourselves to be in. And one of the things that I learned that when you're dealing with trauma in the family, the physical family, um, there are layers that you can't possibly understand on the onset that you are aware that you have a trauma or you perceive a trigger to be happening. Um, what do I mean? I experience in my life SA. And if you don't, just Google it, y'all, okay? Because they said I have to be mindful with certain people having to hear certain things. It may not be easy, and that if I say things in a certain way, that it may be jarring. So I'm trying to be respectful of considering that. So there are layers of what it is that you are experiencing within the family if these things came into your family. For me specifically, it was SA. And you don't understand how valuable or how important what happened to you happened, especially when you're a spiritual being. And it sounds so abstract. Sometimes it sounds like an attack to the physical. And the reason why that is because a lot of the times we don't recognize when we went through certain layers of trauma that our body still keeps the tax. It has the receipt of it. It stores this information and it keeps it almost like as a, it keeps it in there. Like you're not gonna forget this, because we're not gonna do this again. It's like the ego's way of making sure you have parameters and boundaries set up to keep you from this happening again. However, when you start to go in and you start to dig up and heal and address and release, and you start to do, the physical things to make this energy go into motion and get it out of the stagnant space that it's been in and get that thing shook up and, out of your body, you start to experience levels of awareness that after you release these things, that there is an energy that you receive. And once you receive that, you don't know how you were operating previously to not having that. That's the reward of like healing. There is a receipt, there's a gift that comes with the work that you're doing, right? And it comes in many different ways for many different people. But I wanted to specifically talk about having to process layers of trauma with the family. A lot of us have these issues, especially when we deem ourselves as the black sheep of the family, or as that's the best way to say it. We deem ourselves as the black sheep of the family. There's layers of what we feel has been done to us. And what I've been able to learn and receive is that on such a physical level, we can comprehend things at a rate that one oddly, which I'm not trying to jar anyone or trigger you, but if I am, remember triggers give us the opportunity to heal. And that's going to reveal to you a pathway for you to get to the trauma. So don't just keep it at me. If you feel it with me, then that's okay. But don't keep it with me because I ain't do nothing. I just said something that made you aware that there's something deeper here and you get to go get it. So be happy that you're feeling something and go get the trauma that's bubbling up to the surface that wants to be removed and released from you at this point, okay? So when we have the opportunity to basically receive these layers on a physical level, there are rates that we don't comprehend and we can't perceive because we're dealing with things so physically. We're so surface layer with this. And when you go into removing and uprooting, traumas, because that's a root. If you get a trauma, it's a root. It's a deeply implanted root into your tree, right? When you pull up these roots, there are gifts, like I said, and there are things there that allow you to be free in what it is that you receive. And for me specifically, what I was able to process and understand with SA is that on the other side, physically, these people who may have came against me, who did come against me, I don't want to deal with myself at a rate where I'm not um, being accurate. Um, where I was able to experience this event and these things happen, right? I basically had the opportunity to one, see that spiritually no harm was actually being done to me. That there, in meditation, I was able to see that there are layers of access that they weren't able to retrieve. There was protection that was placed over me, for me, with me. And even dealing with the individual spirits who these events happen with, I was able to see them at a higher rate and understand them, and not just why they did it, but I was able to actually understand how I could benefit from this. And it sounds crazy, but it's just, this conversation isn't really just for your regular Joe Smo, okay? I put 144 on there, very, very, very strategic and specifically. This is for the people who are aware that they have work to do and they're moving into a new beginning that is going to be transformational to them and it's going to be completely life changing. We have the opportunity at this point to one, recognize that we've chosen a side. And in choosing a side, we say, okay, let's do dimensions, okay? Because that's what everybody was on a couple of months ago. I'm not going to be 3D no more. I'm about to be 5D, 6D, so on and so forth, right? So you decided that you're not going to sit in, you know, the fifth dimension, or you're not going to sit in the fourth or the third dimension. You ready to be 5D, so on and so forth and higher. And you know that you have this work to do. You have this piece, this body of energy. You have something to ground within this space. And you also have these traumas, right? You have the opportunity to make a decision to actually move forward in what it is that you've chosen for yourself at the highest rate, in knowing one, that it did not come in to specifically hurt you. All right. I could really only walk you through this by doing sessions. Right now, I do have 30-minute sessions available that are free for first time um, clients. If you've never had a session with me before, don't hesitate, y'all. Do not be afraid of allowing yourself to open your mind and be expansive to different ways. Don't think that people are doing anything to hurt you. I would say meditate, connect to your team, and if you are guided and if we're in alignment, definitely reach out. Use the link in the bio to book your appointment because I'm very, very happy to aid in helping, especially in layers of healing, because it is such a really, really good time to really, really clear out things like for once and for all. And one of the things I recognize with, dealing with the family members who had committed the SA against me, right? On the other side, they're not that, right? And I've chosen, and I'm sure a lot of you all who will eventually listen to this have chosen to be in higher dimensions. I've chosen to actually ascend, and I've chosen to deal with myself at a spiritual rate than a physical rate. And the reason why I do this is because I understand that the spiritual side is the real side. This is where the authenticity comes from. This is where the essence is being poured from. This is the truth. So if I'm dealing with myself at this rate, then when I deal with my trauma, I also have to actually adjust and shift how I'm dealing with said trauma as well. And this is necessary because a lot of times we don't understand that the position that our families have to take isn't a position, one, that they take knowingly. Okay, not on this side. They aren't aware, y'all. They don't know. Okay, and that's such a good thing to have in your back pocket. All right, that is such a great thing to have in your back pocket. People who don't allow themselves to access higher wisdom, they don't allow themselves to access knowledge about themselves. They're not observing themselves. People who are being externally guided and manipulated for all intents and purposes in this physical, illusion, matrix type of world, this construct, right? They really don't have the opportunity to get the insight and actually know that they could trust it. They may receive it, they hear it, they even have spiritual gifts a lot of times, y'all. And it's not for us to judge people because you don't know what somebody's whole essence and expression is. The reality of it is that they've chosen a different route to go at this lifetime. And in the rate that they've chosen, they are basically creating that negative charge that you require to be able to gain access to the energy that's coming to you, to be able to gain access to the healing that's going to come to you, and also to the reward for the works that you will do based off of how you went through this said event, right? It's necessary for us to give ourselves the opportunity to understand that in the race that we heal, we get to heal the thing completely. And here it is. I chose to be fermented, like my sister said, with my full body, yes, right? Saying to myself, I am a spiritual being. And in me choosing just that alone, me understanding that I am spirit first and then I'm physical, I have to also understand that my experiences are spiritual. And in these being spiritual experiences, there's a layer of how I treat these traumas now that I could not have given to myself on the physical level because it wouldn't have made sense to me. Which is why, like I said, we have the book. I don't specifically go deep into detail about SA in the book because that is such a specific thing, and I wanted this book to be available to a broader um, group of people. And also, I didn't want to put an age limit on it, and I don't necessarily want to have those layers of conversations with certain age groups unless prohibited and permitted by their guardians. So I'll say that. But having like a firm decision being made within myself, me making the choice, me knowing that I am activating the 144 within my DNA. I am charging the cells that are actually, you know, speaking to me, but I'm speaking to them. Like I'm alchemizing and I'm dealing with myself at a rate that's different. When I address these layers of trauma, I've actually made a decision to put some spirit on it, right? And in me doing that, I get to say, thank you. Oh, that's going to sound crazy to a lot of people. It's going to sound so crazy. But I get to say thank you. And you know why I say thank you? I say thank you, you guys, because it could not have been easy for them, right? It could not have been easy for them to have to basically do these things to me, you know? Um, it could not have been easy to them to have to basically be the way that they have to be to us. A lot of people, like I said, they're being utilized, they're being maneuvered, they're being input. Hey, command one. It's like, there's something external always controlling what's going on in their world. And you don't know what that feels like when you've decided that you get to choose, right? This is not for us to feel sorry for anybody. This is not what that is. I'm not actually weaponizing what people are doing. Peace, sis. How you doing, beautiful? I'm not weaponizing what people do and how they do it. What I am saying is that when you choose to say thank you to the trauma or to the person who may have committed the trauma, you have the opportunity to actually heal at a different rate because you get to see and understand the fullness of what it was that came in to teach you. And in you actually releasing this energy and in you fully receiving what it is that you're working towards, you have the ability to move towards certain rates of who it is that you desire to be at such an accelerated rate that it is bonkers. You get to actually experience layers of what's real in the physical just by accepting that whatever comes into your vortex, it's coming to help you receive a part of you. So, all of these things that I experienced, all of these things that have happened, any trauma that has occurred, this thing is coming to actually help me. These are tools, y'all. And in me being able to recognize them as tools, no, it's not an easy thing. I'm not meaning to sound like it's easy. I'm definitely trying to make it be as clear. I'm very specific on how I'm trying to say it. I'm not allowing myself to just like say it the way that I want to say it. I'm being very sensitive to how I'm communicating this because I understand that this is so preposterous to some people, especially when you think about things like SA. Like somebody did that to me and I'm supposed to thank them for it. Yes, yes. You know why? I received some years ago that when we are dealing with layers of grief, and when you're dealing with trauma, there's layers of grief attached to it automatically, y'all. When you're dealing with layers of grief, you're basically to honor it and respect it. You have to honor and respect it. And nobody tells us this. Nobody tells us that when we have things that come in our life that make us feel heavy and weighed down, and that things that make us feel like we've had some level of loss or we're carrying some burden, nobody tells us to actually honor that experience with respect because they don't want us to know that by us not feeling like we're being attacked, we get our power back in the event of the circumstance that we find ourselves to be in. And while we're in this space, sometimes if you get, so superhero, you get your superpowers, and you even in the event of a thing and you operating like this, you have the ability to maneuver through it at a rate where it's not taking you out, you know, and where you able to thrive even in the trauma. you know, a lot of us have things that we experience that feel debilitating. They stop us dead in our tracks. And in them, basically putting a pause to what it is that we were processing, or even making us stop at a portal that's supposed to propel us. When we get to levels of grief, when we experience extreme layers of trauma, there's an opportunity for us to get that huge buildup that comes on the other end as we give and petition at rates that allow us to exchange with what has come into our vortex to teach us, right? You get to say thank you. And the reason why you're saying thank you is because if you've made a decision that you're a spiritual being and you understand that you are here to do a job and you're here to work, you're here to activate at a certain layer, you are here to learn, the information, to channel the information, to receive the information, to heal and help heal others. You're here to wake up other people. You're here to do whatever it is that you've been put on mission to do, right? When you recognize that and you choosing the higher dimension for yourself, you choosing the timeline that's aligned with your soul, there are things that will come to you that are desiring you to basically treat it as who you know yourself to be. When we get physical in a thing and we want to basically then, attack our family, cut our family off, um, and it's always exceptions to the rule, and I have to say this because not all family is family, okay? And you'll know this to be true for you. If you've allowed yourself to really sit with yourself, you will know that for you, if it's time for you to separate yourself, that it is time for you to separate yourself. Separation is not cutting off. Separation is saying, I have boundaries. I need to be in this space because this space is what's best for me. This is where my happiness is. This is where my heck yeah is, right? This is where I feel loved. You get to do all of that, all right? And you don't have to be walked over ever, okay? So I wanted to say all of that. There's disclaimers with all of this stuff, and it's too much really to put in one video. But I wanted to let you know that you do get to give yourself the permission to be in gratitude for the thing that has come to teach you and aid you at a higher level, a higher frequency, and allow you to be able to fully heal that thing by putting it down completely, not holding on to any fragments of what it is that's occurred that sound like, feel like resentment, that sound like and feel like anger or rage. Sometimes our rage and our anger is righteous, y'all. You still get to release that thing. You have to release that thing moving into certain frequencies. You can't have this thing weighed on you. And when you start to deal with things like gratitude, there's such an exchange and a response to the universe that happens within your vortex that just shifts it, because it's a thing where instead of me holding on to what I went through, there's this conversation that I start to have with Big Mama, like, hey, Big Mama, I know that you wasn't punishing me. I know that these people did not hate me. I start to tell the truth to myself. I know that this thing had to happen because I was in a position to where I have to basically be able to heal people from SA. I have to be able to let people know, like I am right now, that you get to forgive, that not only are you forgiven, but you're understanding at a deeper rate. On the other side, these might be people that I love deeply. These people may love me deeply. And where you're trying to receive people spiritually, if you're still caught up on what you perceive to have happened to you on a physical rate, you may not be able to receive all of your support, all of your help. You may not even get all of your blessings, all of your bliss, all of your rewards, because you still carrying a weight within yourself that isn't true and it isn't accurate authentically, which is spiritually, right? You have to be able to get the full understanding of a thing. And I wanted to give that to you all because it's important right now. The lines may be blurred at this point, because what's happening is we're getting closer and closer to that window where we're going to make this huge leap. And what you have to understand, that as a spiritual being, when you're making a leap, it's not a horizontal leap, y'all. This is a vertical leap. It's a quantum leap, okay? And when you're making a quantum leap, you're going up and out, okay? And in that, you're taking on what is necessary, what you need to take on from this space, but you also dropping off a lot of stuff that can't go with you, right? And as you're dropping this stuff off, you're not picking stuff back up. You know what I mean? If you've decided to be healed from this thing, go through healing, but allowing yourself at the same time, instead of just forgiving, to be in a accelerated rate of gratitude. Like, I'm so thankful that I now know that I don't have to basically have any hatred in my heart towards these people. I'm so thankful that I now know that I don't have to put myself in a predicament of judgment of somebody else's actions. That's so freeing, y'all, to be able to say that I experienced somebody at this rate, but I love them. It's so crazy. It's so crazy, but it's so good when you give it to yourself. It's a gift that you get to give to yourself, and it keeps on giving. And it's something that comes from you being in that space within your body. You know what I mean? You're going to have to work with your body. You're going to have to convince your body of what's truly true for you. You're going to have to make your vessel aware of the truth. You're going to have to help your vessel be able to feel safe. You're going to have to convince your body, right, of some things. That's okay. That's the conditioning that's happening. You have your spiritual team for that. You have your benevolent ancestors who are here aiding and guiding you. You have your higher self. You could petition this over yourself. You could make sure that you eat in a certain way. You could make sure that you're communicating at a certain rate. You could be mindful of your highs and your lows and make sure that you're not dropping or just being so high and then falling all the way down. Allow yourself to be resonating at the space that you know to be true for you and what you desire to be more than not. Create things in your space that help aid you in being what it is that you're desiring to be for yourself, and just continue to move forward at the rate that's necessary. We get to heal, but I want you all to know that you get to heal with layers of gratitude, and you don't have to petition at a rate where you are fighting and still holding on to a piece of anything. Get rid of all of it, y'all. Be thankful for the sacrifice that our families are making by being the ones who chose to basically be the ones who put all of this stuff on you. You chose to take on and bear all of this weight, right? You bear all of this weight because you're going to bear all of the light that's going to give you all of the reward, okay? And you choosing this and you picking your side, right? You need to also pick the side that honors and respects the job that everybody plays and continue to move forward, alchemizing and healing. I love you all. I hope you have an amazing day. Once again, if this information was helpful, please just leave a comment. I prefer comments on the actual videos. Y'all interact with these videos so they could be seen by more people. Like and share. And I also would like you all to, like I said, if you haven't had a reading, please feel free to reach out. And the link is in my bio. If you're unable to use that link, don't hesitate. There's another link that you could use in the book now option on my personal page, which is also connected to my account at the top at Star Blooms 28. I hope you have an amazing day. Take care. I think it's Star Blooms 1131. I'm not sure, but it's on there. I love y'all. Take care. Peace.